Hello, everybody. Excited utterance here. My name is Hella, and today is Scott Peterson is innocent. Changed my mind today. I was just having a look over on the various places that I was streaming this morning, this afternoon, this evening, to see if they're all working. And I don't think that Rumble's working. 4 viewers are waiting. How do I make it work? Someone tell me how to make it work. It says 4 viewers are waiting, but I can't make it work. It's not working, is it, guys? Do I have to press a button or something? I don't know. Someone help me. Stupid thing. I managed to get it to look like it was working. Now it's just not working. David, you're a Rumble person. How do you make it work? Is this Liv? Yes, Liv. MLS God of Law. Yes, see, it's freedom of speech. I have to make the freedom of speech work because you never know. Someone might try to yeet my channel anytime. It could happen. Some idiot who's like a multi-state dweller could come along and try to yeet my channel anytime now. All right, well, it's clearly not working, so someone's going to have to help me at some point. What's this? Yeah, no, I'm pressing buttons all over the place. I thought I was really smart getting it to at least look like it was working. Like my face has come up and it's all like buzzing and everything, but nah, not working. Hello, Josie. How are you? We're going live. You write it, I'll read it. Hey, Malcolm. Hello. Hey, Shivos. Hey, Ronnie. Hella's door is like, what's that mean? Half Irish. Hello. And hello, an Aussie, unbronzed Aussie. How's it going? Guess what? We're in the same time zone now. Check us out. We're aligned. We are aligned. Sweet Toothberry's here. Oh, good to see you. And Pudding Way. Some douchebag. Yeah, some douchebag. Exactly. Some man-child. Sorry, don't talk about Dali like that. And I was like, oh, stop it. You're supposed to be quiet when you're backstage. And and online Raiders here. Hello. Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying, Murph. Like, it should be live, and it's not. Like, it's just doing a thing. I don't know what to do. I'm sorry. Oh, live streams. I should be able to make it. I don't know how to fix it. I'm sorry. I just decided to make it happen really, really quickly, and then it just didn't work. Okay. Before I just bring the super chat up, I will bring in my guest, and my co-host, obviously. Hey, I went the wrong way for once. I always hello.
Good morning. I always said hello. Oh yeah, okay. Before we're live, I see. I thought we went live right now. So.
No, we weren't live before. You were a tiny bit early. I was expecting you to be late because why?
Yeah.
I don't know, fashionably late. Donna Barkley, hello. That's so nice of you to give us a super chat. So sweet of you. Thank you for that. $9.99. Nice to see you this morning, this afternoon, this evening. Great to have you here. And thank you very much. That's $9.99, and that helps to keep the channel going. Much appreciated. Lovely to have you here, and I hope you enjoy the stream. Thank you for that. Much appreciated. Hello, MAXMURA.
Hello. Good morning.
You were in chat last week, and we were like, how do you know so much about everything?
No, I don't. I just remember, and this is a bad thing. I remember the Scott Peterson trial, but I was just reading some of the documents, and I realized from the Innocence Project filed, I realized, wait, that exactly could be kind of unhelpful to understand this case. Yeah, based on whatever I think Dali, you mentioned you were like 13 or 14 when this happened. But I'm older. I remember, these as it came out. But remember, this is in a time where you didn't really have stuff on YouTube. You didn't have it live, certainly. You didn't have it right away. You really depended on, guess what, CNN.
Yeah,
You know?
or
and try to explain that to somebody. They go, "What the hell were you?" Well, that's what you had, especially if you're overseas. CNN would be the free cable news channel, and you were pretty dependent upon that. And Nancy Grace,
yeah.
Nancy Grace. Well, she was into it. She was right into this whole thing because she was like, in fact, she's been commenting on it since. Like, she's been commenting on it recently because she just has to comment on everything, doesn't she? And she's all like, "Oh no, he's still guilty, still guilty." Now Rumble's trying to get me to go live, like straight through Rumble. I'm like, no, okay. I tried that, Murph. And it's just like, go to the camera icon in the top right and click go live. Tried that, and it's trying to make me go live over there. I'm like, no, I give up for now. I'm actually live here. I think I need David to come backstage and help me with the whole Rumble experience. Is CC here?
Yes.
Where is CC? Oh, hey CC, how's it going? I saw you came into the Discord. It's nice to see you. Yeah, Nancy, effing Grace. You know what? Someone actually tagged me, Nancy Grace, and a bunch of and I'm not going to put myself into this group, but a bunch of like true crime and just loudmouths like JLR Investigates and just a bunch of people.
Coffindoffer.
Oh, Jennifer Coffindoffer. Someone like tagged me and a bunch of people, and I'm like, how did I get in this group? Right? So why am I being tagged with Nancy Grace and all these people? I'm like, I'm not part of this group. All right. Leave me out of it. I'm not one of these people.
Did you answer that super chat? I can't remember.
Yes, I did.
Okay.
I said, thank you very much to Donna Buckley.
Thank you.
That was lovely. Thank you. Hello, Paige. Good to see you. So you actually remember the trial, MAXMURA?
Yeah, I remember. I was in, but I was watching it from. I was in Tokyo. So
really,
wow.
You heard about it there.
So I was in. I remember I was in an expat, what they call a mansion, but it was a condo, and so the only channels that we got for English language news was CNN.
Right.
And even then you couldn't get Fox. It was harder to get Fox. Anyways, I would just leave CNN on and this would come on.
Right.
And that's so just keeping in mind when you explain to somebody who's a millennial or whatever, just like, okay, maybe you had TiVo, but you wouldn't TiVo a frickin', this kind of news stuff. It'd be like TiVo's for sports, for games and stuff like that. But I was just, and so I was, so you just kind of, that sort of timeline of what the media was exposed to. Same point is, I think one of the comments about the trial made comments about, his something about his demeanor. I forget the word, but to the point that he there was a lack of effect, and so they made this. They came to this conclusion. Oh, he's probably guilty. He's
stone-faced.
Yeah.
Which is what every lawyer tells every client they have. You don't emote.
You know what? We didn't have back then what we have on YouTube now. We have these body language experts,
Oh God.
And I mean, you did have a few. Like there's this one former FBI guy in Navarro, but he wasn't. I don't recall them being on television that much, and they weren't doing trial analysis.
The body language people, aren't they great? We would love those, don't we? So it's like he's got beady eyes, and when he doesn't blink enough, that means he's a psychopath. When he chews his mouth, that means that he's anxious. All those sorts of things. But honestly, the stuff that I've looked back on from that time, there were people saying that he didn't dry the tears when he managed to make himself cry. He was very careful not to dry the tears because he wanted to make sure that he looked like he was crying on camera. So he kept them there like a normal person would wipe them away, whereas he made sure he kept them. Things like that. And it was really like they made sure that they focused on every little detail of what he did rather than focus on the search. And I've referred to this other case of mine a lot. It's Lindy Chamberlain. That's a 40-year-old case now. And that's in Australia. Didn't go away my baby. And it's exactly the same. And before the internet, well before the internet. And that was highly publicized. She did some TV interviews. And the media absolutely made their mind up that she was not sad enough. She was just simply not sad enough. She wasn't behaving like a grieving mother who just lost her baby would behave. And so she was hung out to dry by the media. And that being the case, she actually was convicted of first-degree murder of her new child. And if it weren't for the fact that the
by luck.
Actually by someone falling to their death from Ayers Rock. Yeah, falling to their death. So it's not really luck. Someone had to die. So someone fell to their death from climbing on Ayers Rock. And they were the search party went out. And by luck, someone found the mauled little jacket of that little baby 4 years later. And it was very clear that a wild animal had eaten that little jacket. She would never have been exonerated. And she'd still be in prison today.
I just want to point out that, these cases, the older ones that are televised and only the media is the one who gives the perception. But now, since YouTube streamers have come along, and just small content creators like in Rittenhouse, Johnny Depp, a completely different narrative was brought out because of people covering it. Yes. And trials being able to be shown publicly.
Yes. I mean, it can go the other way, can't it? Yeah. It can be that sometimes we feel like the majority of people can feel that the way the media wants them to feel, like, for example, in Zachariah Anderson's case, crazed ex-boyfriend, stalker, etc. But then because the media was there and we got to see all the things that went wrong in that courtroom, there are people who saw the injustice, and there are people who are right behind his family. And
actively, a year later,
people actively trying to help. Yeah, exactly. All right, so let's get into it. As you guys know, I always prepare for these things. And we really can't wait to get your input onto this, Max, because last week you had heaps of things to add, and it was great. I was like, Max should be on this stream with us. Let's go. So I always start with this. Why would I say Scott Peterson is innocent? Why would I say that? Because I always get people come into the chat going, no, he's guilty. He's so guilty. He's so guilty. Well, there are plenty who think he's guilty. This week, I went and I had a bit of a look around the Facebooks, as you do, and that's always fun. And I found that Scott Peterson is still guilty group.
Of course.
And wow, they were fun. They were a group of fun people. Hello to the Scott Peterson is still guilty group. They're awesome fun. So I'm just gonna bring something up here. There we go. There we go. There's a little Scott Peterson down there in the bottom left-hand corner. Okay, so the Scott Peterson is still guilty group. Here's a little bit from them. So there's 2.8 thousand members in there, and these are people who are actively, constantly looking for anything in the media at all that, like me, for example, people who are streaming things that are showing things that exonerate Scott. And so Dali, actually, would you like to read some of these comments here?
What is it that convinces some people he's innocent? I tried to watch the doc of them investigating for him, and I had to turn it off. It was terrible. I've heard a few reasonings, but nothing that will make everything he said and how he acted look anything less than guilty. Have you ever heard of a capital letter, sweetie?
And there's one more.
Scott Peterson is getting another shot at exoneration. What? How?
How? Yeah, okay. Now, the other thing about this group is they pick and choose what they like to watch. All right. So this is something that they like to watch. And I just grabbed a little piece of it.
Christmas Eve. You have a very pregnant wife. And you decide to go fishing?
Fishing?
What did that say about the two of you?
Well, we had plans that evening with Mom, Lacey's mom, over at her house. Preparations were made. Her plan for the day was to try gingerbread cookies. My day was open to either play golf or go fishing. I chose fishing that day, which is, a choice I made, and I obviously regret now. If I could just decide to stay home, that's what would have happened.
I noticed during the interview he had not yet talked about something.
You haven't mentioned your son.
It's so hard.
Their baby boy was due on February 16th.
Tell me about the nursery.
Can't go in there. The door's
Looks like he is crying.
closed until there's someone to put in there. But it's
Yeah. So
ready.
that's
On the 8th,
that's the moment with the teary face. Like, so some body language experts at the time took that little moment of the wet kind of face and broke that down. Like, oh, he didn't wipe his tears away, so he really wanted to show that he was crying. It wasn't enough that he was crying. He had to show that he was crying. So that was a tell, apparently. Yeah.
the 18th of February, a few weeks after this interview, police conducted a search of the Peterson house and noted several office chairs and other smaller items had been stored in the nursery on account of Scott running low on space after ending his tenancy of the warehouse office. Evidently, Scott managed to overcome his inability to enter his unborn son's room once he realized doing so would help reduce clutter. But even with Scott Peterson's affairs, lies, and overall hateability, there was very little, if anything, concrete tying him to Lacey's disappearance. The Bay had
Sorry. Moving some chairs into the room. Guilty. Sorry, Max, I forgot to ask you, like, are you, like, decided on this, or?
Like, do you think he did it?
Max?
Oh, yeah, I mentioned this before. It's more my misunderstanding of the terms, because I was asking last time. I said, why is it Scott Peterson is innocent and versus say not guilty? And that was more a technicality. But if I go back to it, I would say, look, it could be in terms of kind of weighing the inculpatory evidence and the exculpatory.
Mm-hmm.
I think that the case was incredibly poorly managed and executed. And I think if it were retried from the beginning and done properly, you may find, and I'm not accounting for the Los Angeles Innocence Project, because what I didn't realize, what they will take on cases where there's, I think, DNA evidence is critical. So
Yes.
that's and when you go back on the Scott Peterson case now, even right now, there hasn't been a lot of discussion or explanation on that detail. So I'm leaving that
Yeah.
sort of exculpatory evidence and discovery to the side right now. But in light of everything that's been done, I would say Scott Peterson probably did it, but based on what you have and don't have, he would be found not guilty in terms of because you couldn't get it beyond a reasonable doubt. I think there's there's enough reasonable doubt there.
Yeah.
I don't think I'm not going to say he absolutely didn't do it. He's innocent. Somebody else did it. But in the concrete now, bringing that exculpatory evidence that the Los Angeles Innocence Project is, because they don't take on cases where they'll argue, well, it's just based on circumstantial and we don't think that's right.
No.
They apparently have. I'd like to really see that because and then post facto, I could say, okay, there's enough exculpatory that outweighs the inculpatory evidence, and that will determine whether I'm going to move past this not guilty because it's not beyond a reasonable doubt to actually completely innocent. Yeah,
absolutely. So we are going to look at that. So that's coming later. So the reason I've called this stream Scott Peterson is innocent, changed my mind, is because he may have a retrial. And if he were to have a retrial, and if I were to be a new juror, I would need to look at him as an innocent man. So that is a complete retrial, right? And I'm brand new to this. I don't live in the US. I'd never heard of him before this. And so I'm trying to look at it completely blank slate. He's innocent. I know he's been found guilty before, but me coming into it completely new, it's not about him being not guilty. It's about him being innocent and the state having to change my mind. And I know that the title is a bit confrontational, and that's on purpose because I want people to look at it and be like, no, he's guilty, and to come in and actually have a bit of debate about it, because I like debate, but also someone, if he does have a new trial, he needs to have jurors that are willing to look at him as being innocent. And I don't know how that's actually going to happen in his state. It's going to be very difficult, isn't it? I mean, are they going to have to fly them in from the moon? No, fly some Australians in. Quite difficult, isn't it? All right, let's keep going.
They had naturally become an area of extreme interest to police very early on, but the efforts of dive teams had turned up nothing. At the same time, they were also monitoring Scott, who himself seemed to have a particular interest in the bay, making several trips back to the area where he appeared to be monitoring the progress of the dive team. They had a wiretap on his cell phone too, and were particularly struck by something they heard when Scott listened to a voicemail from Sharon Rocher. This was on January 11th, before Scott's infidelity had come to light, and Lacey's family were still firmly of the mind he had nothing to do with her disappearance.
Hi, Scott. This is Mom. It's about 1:45. Just wanted to know, I just got a call from Ron Cloward. He's at Marina, and it was a boat anchor. Of course, we knew it wasn't Lacey, but I just wanted you to know. I'm going to call your house in case you don't get this message first. Bye.
Just another disquieting moment that, much as it may make one's skin crawl, can't be classified as hard evidence. A bit of an ongoing theme in this case. And for the first quarter of 2003, it seemed like that might be how things would stay for good. A beautiful young mother-to-be vanished off the face of the earth. The eyes of an entire nation were fixed squarely on her scumbag.
I have searched everywhere for that phone call. So I can't find it anywhere else.
They recorded him listening to a voicemail.
Yeah.
And it picked up his side of it.
It's whistle. Yeah. Phew.
I don't know whether or not they've just maybe because this is a little like true crime podcasting thing. Maybe he just edited that together. That dude who's making it. Maybe it's too good to be true for him. Whoever made this, and then he puts a little grin face up.
Yeah.
Oh dear.
Bag husband, but with no body or anything else that truly tangibly tied him to the incident. Scott Peterson would become one of those figures that makes crime watchers wince whenever they pop up on screen.
Hey, Twitter world.
OJ.
Of course, they showed OJ. All right. All right. So go on. Yeah.
No, I just love OJ's videos he posts on Twitter.
Yeah. All right. So the Scott Peterson is still guilty group are not big fans of the LA Innocent Project, obviously, and they're definitely not fans of Janie Peterson. So on the last episode or two, we've talked about Janie Peterson and how she is like his advocate on the outside. So she's really the reason why there's any support for him out here at all. She's the one who's got the big war room with the board, and she's got contact with all of these witnesses who supposedly saw Lacey walking the dog that morning, and she is the one that does all the interviews with the media saying that he is not guilty. She is the one who instigated him getting his death penalty overturned, that juror problem in 2022. So that's her there. And the Scott Peterson is still guilty group. They love to pick on her. So they play little clips like this.
If you have an opportunity to get away with murder, you're gonna do it.
Yeah. She was on the Dr. Phil show, and this happened.
There are tips that were called into the tip line. Some of them aren't specific saying they saw Lacey, but they're saying they saw a pregnant woman.
Well, that's different than what
walking a
you
golden
said. You
retriever.
said you had 14 witnesses that saw Lacey that morning, and that's not true.
Okay.
They love that. And then, yeah, there's a bunch of these. Do you want to read those out, Dolly?
Boom. Janie got called out on her mistruths. Is deception a requirement to be in the Peterson family? She said, okay, but continue to shovel this AIM BS. I absolutely love that part on Dr. Phil when he lets her know that she was wrong. She was smacked down. Now she says 11 witnesses. Lol.
Yeah. Okay. Then they've got her standing in front of the Innocence Network, and they're like, look, they just make a lot of fun of her, you know. It's like, well, look, it's not very nice. It's not very nice.
But in your experience,
Sorry.
when all of the evidence
I
is
just
not
started playing. So the group are much happier with this narrative, and maybe rightly so, right? Maybe rightly so. Maybe they're right. I don't know, but like this is the narrative that they're happier with.
But in your experience, when all of the evidence is not revealed to the other side, what gives?
So the Innocence Project, by their own mission statement, is dedicated to making sure that forensics are applied correctly and that everybody gets due process. Now, just to be clear, the evidence against Scott Peterson was quite compelling, and it has been affirmed, his conviction has been affirmed as recently as 2022, when his death penalty was commuted to life in prison. So it's going to be awfully tough to overturn the decision of the jury in this case. What the Innocence Project is looking to do, as that fire marshal alludes to, is to look at this brown stain that was on a mattress in a van that was found roughly a mile from the Peterson residence, that the investigator there is saying he doesn't feel was ever fully investigated. The problem is that the science to investigate it at the time might not have been up to snuff. Whether it was or not, or whether the prosecution had ruled it out on other grounds, is what they're going to be looking at. They have a few other things that they want to introduce, but realistically, short of coming back with some really compelling DNA evidence, it's going to take something really empirical and scientific here to overturn what is a longstanding decision. The science has come a long way, as we've seen in Idaho and Gilgo, but short of something like that, I'm feeling like the investigation was fulsome, the trial was fair, and that the conviction will be upheld.
Okay, I'm just reading your words now. The point is, Peterson's guilty. There's a ton of evidence stacked up against him. You stand by that?
I do.
Yeah. And we're going to have a look at what the LA Innocence Project is asking for. And it's exactly that. They're asking flat out for DNA that's on, or blood basically, that's on a mattress that was in a burned out van to be tested. There's a bunch of other stuff they're asking for, but that's the kicker. That's the kicker. Okay, so let's keep going. So yeah, when it comes down to it, the appeal really hangs its hat on this new evidence.
New developments this midday in the Scott Peterson case.
This
He
is
is
now.
the California man convicted of murdering his pregnant wife 2 decades ago, a case that absolutely
he was.
dominated headlines. This morning, a former California fire official who says key evidence was not properly investigated is speaking exclusively to ABC News. ABC's Kana Whitworth has the story.
This morning, an ABC News exclusive. A former fire investigator speaking for the first time since that bombshell filing in the Scott Peterson case about the potential of new evidence.
This has always been one of those things that kind of sits in the back of your head and kind of bugs you a little bit. And you kind of wonder why this didn't happen or why it wasn't brought up.
Nearly 2 decades after Scott Peterson was convicted of murdering his pregnant wife, Lacey, the Los Angeles Innocence Project demanding the case be reevaluated, largely hinging on information from then Modesto fire investigator Brian Spitulski. Spitulski investigating this burned out van found the morning after Lacey disappeared in December 2002, located less than a mile from the Peterson home. Lawyers from the Los Angeles Innocence Project now zeroing in on evidence from a mattress in the back of that van with a red and brown stain on it.
You have this woman, she's 8 months pregnant, she's missing, this van is of high interest, and now a sample from a mattress on that van has tested presumptive positive for blood. What were you thinking in that moment?
You know, I don't know that I was tying the moment to Lacey. I was more tying the moment that it was human blood. It made it like this was much more important than just a burned vehicle that somebody was just wanting to get rid of or cover up a simple crime.
In a court filing, lawyers say DNA testing done on a small portion of that mattress several years later was insufficient to determine whether DNA from Lacey or their unborn son was present.
You feel strongly that this evidence should be reassessed?
Absolutely, especially if we've got sample that can still be tested.
Lacey's disappearance captivated the country. Suspicion against Scott already mounting when his then girlfriend, Amber Fry, came forward about their affair.
Well, what was that?
Prosecutors later arguing Scott's motive for killing Lacey was for a $250,000 life insurance policy. A jury siding with the prosecution in 2004, convicting Scott of first-degree murder for the death of Lacey and second-degree murder for the death of their unborn son, Connor.
I don't have an agenda or an opinion on his guilt or his innocence. This is, for me, it's a fire investigation in a vehicle that has blood, possible blood, on the mattress. And that right there is important.
Former ABC News investigative producer Mike Gudgel has followed the case from the beginning.
I think it's still a mystery.
Hey, Melissa.
The trial verdict was sort of unsatisfactory. It didn't say what really happened to Lacey. And I think even the prosecution conceded that during the trial.
Brian Spitulski now works as a private fire investigator, but says the case has left a mark on him.
Is this the one that sometimes keeps you up at night?
Absolutely.
Huh.
Now, the Stanislaus District Attorney told us in a statement in part that Peterson's conviction was upheld in 2022 and added they can't comment further as litigation is pending. Now, the LA Innocence Project says that sensitive testing today could provide more information. Kana Whitworth, ABC News, Los Angeles.
Well, there you go. There you go. So here's the deal, guys. Like, that was the day after she went missing. And there's been so much talk about whether or not the robbery across the road even happened on the day she went missing, right? So the people who are in this Scott Peterson is still guilty group are all like, no, the robbery across the road happened on the 27th or the 26th. right? It didn't happen on the 24th. Yes.
If it did, I read that part where I think they came up with the 26th, but on that street. But if it had happened on the 26th, it would have been full of media press. And so it sounds very, very implausible that they would to move the date of that robbery according to the burglars or the suspects. That'd be on that date.
That's a fair point, and they talk about that as well. But then they go ahead and go, you know what? No, on the 26th, it would have been at the very early hours of the morning, and there is video of that, and there was only one van there at 6 a.m. that morning. So they've all chitty-chatted about that too, and gone, no, on the 26th at 6 a.m. in the morning, it was not full of vans. The vans didn't arrive. The press didn't arrive until 8 a.m. in the morning also. So there's plenty of time for the Medina robbery to happen then.
Okay.
So in their minds, in the Scott Peterson is guilty camp minds, no, it still could have happened on the 26th. How it's possible for this to still be a thing after all these years is beyond me, because there's so many witnesses, right? But the witnesses never came in at trial, right? That's the problem. These witnesses never came in at trial. So why can't the witnesses come in now? That's the other reason. So at the LA Innocence Project putting forth in their submission that there's witnesses and we want those witnesses. Bring them forward. Okay, so let's keep going. All right, yes. So what exactly have the LA Innocence Project asked for? And thank you to Max for coming forth with this document. I'm just going to take this little Scott away in the corner. Bye-bye, Scott. Okay.
Oh.
You killed Scott.
Well, he was on death row for a really, really long time. He's still with us, thank goodness. Okay, so there's Scott. And I'm just going to, by the way, I'm going to bring up the whole document in a separate tab, but we don't. Yeah.
David, do you have this too?
Is David here still?
Sorry, David. Deli, sorry.
Oh,
so
I'm sorry, what?
Does he have
Here,
this document?
I put it in private chat. I put
Oh.
the link in private chat for you. Yeah.
Yep, cool. All right, so this is the document. So basically, LA Innocence Project is requesting a fair bit of stuff. And so this was filed in January, 17th of the 1st, 2024, January. And so Honorable Judge presiding in the Superior Court, State of California, County of San Mateo, notice is hereby given as soon thereafter as the matter may be heard by the captioned court, defendant Scott Peterson by and through counsel, Los Angeles Innocence Project will move the court to restrict access to certain information in an unredacted exhibit. Now, we'll go down because there's a list of stuff that they want. Let's go forward. Exhibit 1. There we go. Right. So this is the list. We've obtained and reviewed trial files. Oops, try and highlight this. Right. We've obtained and reviewed trial files from Mr. Peterson's prior counsel in the case, and after a thorough search, we have not located the below items in those files. The requests herein fall into the following categories. So, number one, the Medina burglary. So this is a big, big, big deal. Okay, so across the road from the house on the morning, and they'll prove that it was on the morning from some of these other exhibits. Of the morning of Lacey's disappearance, the Medina house is the neighbors across the road. There was this burglary. And so there'll be exhibits to do with that. Lieutenant Xavier Aponte reports. Now, that was a tip-off. So Lieutenant Xavier received a tip-off about the burglary, and that was not followed through. There's a Croton watch, and we'll talk about that later. Miss Lacey had a Croton watch, a very specific kind of watch, which was pawned off in the local area. Within about a week or so of the disappearance. And then there was the fire in the airport district, and that was on Christmas Day. So that is the fire where the van was found. Okay, so those top four we're going to talk about today, because there's a reason why they're the top four, because they're the big ones. Right. We also have eyewitnesses who report seeing Lacey Peterson. We've spoken about those in previous streams, and you guys know that there are witnesses who did not come forth, weren't allowed to come forth at the previous trial. But there's a little bit of video that I'll show you later about those as well. But just for the purposes of the length of the stream today, we won't be able to go into all of this stuff. I will read them out though. So eyewitnesses who reported seeing Lacey Peterson on or after December 24th, eyewitnesses who reported seeing the Peterson dog alone and unattended, missing Bates pages, Jean Ralston reports videos and other data related to base searches, or reports videos and other data related to base searches, computer forensics, scent dogs, MPD, that's Modesto Police Department, and SCD policies governing disclosure of conflict of interest, new reports and leads, audio and video recordings of MPD interviews with Scott Peterson. Okay, so I'm just going to go back to here for a sec. And there we go. So yeah, that's the big stuff. Oh, that's our that means we get to go in here.
Oh, how'd you do that?
This magic.
Cool.
Sometimes I do little magic things, because that's what I do. Anyway, we're in a little notebook now because we're making notes. Okay, so we're going to have a look at the first one. So the requests herein fall into the following categories. So we're going to have a look at the top four, remember? So the top four being, the Medina Burglary. Right, so Medina Burglary. So these are the two guys that were arrested. They admitted to the Medina Burglary.
Oh.
There were apparently 5 people that were seen in connection with this burglary, but these 2 were the ones that were arrested and admitted to it. That's the house across the street, the Medina home. And we have a little video about it here. So let's watch.
A neighbor, Diane Jackson, who saw 3 men in a van in front of the Medina home on December 24th at about 11:40 in the morning.
I was coming down Covina towards the park, going past Lacey on one side and Medina's on the other. And I just looked over and there were 3 guys on Medina's property and a van out front. And the only reason it caught my eye is that they turned around, looked at me, sort of made me feel a little bit uncomfortable.
When this information came out, immediately there was a sense that, okay, maybe Lacey, who was walking the dog, came across this burglary and that's what happened to her. This was a viable explanation. Maybe she confronted the burglars, something happened, and they kidnapped her.
We caught the guys that went in there and broke into that house and interviewed them, and they talked about the abduction. They said, our hands are clean on that.
Also, there were people who say they saw her walking her dog at a time after Scott Peterson left to go fishing.
Okay, so basically that's the gist of the Medina burglary. It was across the road at the time. Now, as we were discussing earlier, Max, people kept saying that it was not on that date. You couldn't prove it was on that date. But there was a bunch of tips, etc. So the one big tip was this one here. So Lieutenant Xavier Aponte. Now, this guy here, he kind of ignored the first time that there was a call about it, but the second time he did actually try to talk to somebody, but it kind of got lost in translation by accident because at the time they were really focused on Scott. So this is number 2 on their list of things that they want. So that if we have a look at, there's been some write-ups about this tip, but from the actual document, Lieutenant Xavier Aponte report they want a complete copy of the Modesto Police Department investigation into the exculpatory information Lieutenant Xavier Aponte provided to Modesto Police Department regarding Lacey Peterson witnessing Stephen Todd. Now, Stephen Todd is one of those 2 guys in the mugshot, committing the Medina burglary on December 24th, 2002. The defense believes the items requested below exist based on the following information taken from 2023 something exhibits, blah, blah, blah. Among the 43,000 pages of discovery given to Mr. Peterson's defense team, 43,000, that's not too many to look through. A single entry in an MPD tip sheet documented a call from Lieutenant Aponte on January 22, 2003. The entry on the tip sheet states 909-273-2901 CRC Norco received info from Sean Tenbrick, inmate. He spoke to brother Adam, who said Steve Todd said Lacey witnessed him breaking in, could not give dates or time. Aponte had further info, emphasis added. Right? So all that information has, as of right now, and I'm talking 2024, the LA Innocence Project is asking for that to be handed over. This is a tip from when? January 22, 2003. That's ridiculous. Right? So we're talking about information that is absolutely huge to the case. Huge. Like Donald Trump, huge to the case. Yeah. And it's not been handed over in discovery.
Wait.
It's stupid.
It says that third paragraph, it says among the 43,000 pages of discovery given to Mr. Peterson's defense team. So this wasn't withheld from discovery, was it?
No. The entry on the tip sheet states received info from that. He spoke to brother that. Aponte has further info.
Okay,
There's further info, right? They want more. There's more information, right? So no, that's how they know it exists at all, right? They would not have known it exists at all, and there's more here. So, and this is some write-up that's been done by the LA Innocence Project about this separately, apart from the document that they provided to the court. So the Aponte tip, exculpatory evidence withheld. When Stephen Todd and Donald Pierce, so those are the 2 guys in the mugshot, when Stephen Todd and Donald Pierce were arrested for the Medina burglary on January 2, 2003, the Modesto Police Department still had time to rethink its pursuit of Scott Peterson. There may even have been time to save the life of Lacey Peterson. As far as they knew, they could have been. They chose not to do this. Instead, they accepted an obviously false version of the burglary at the home of Rudy and Susan Medina. The Medinas lived almost directly across the street from the Petersons, and the burglary occurred during the same time period that Lacey disappeared. In In late 2003, Lieutenant Xavier Aponte, who worked in the investigations unit at the California Rehabilitation Institute at Norco East of Los Angeles, called Modesto Police Department with important information. A phone call between an inmate and his brother had been recorded. Aponte's memory of that information was later given to both defense and prosecution in separate statements. Lieutenant Aponte's first call was not returned. He placed another call the same week, and sometime later his call was returned. Basically, the thing went nowhere. I put that thing there because I went through the information and it was like back and forth, and nothing ended up happening. It was someone called someone and the information got lost. Someone called someone else and the information got lost. Person didn't call other person back. Person didn't call other person back, and nothing happened. Right. So, and it really appeared to me like based on the context, and I couldn't fit it all on the page, that it was having a policeman got a tip, gave it to somebody else. They kind of put it on the back burner, and then gave it to somebody else who put it into their inbox and let it fall down. They gave it to someone else who put it in there and let it fall down. And now here we are in 2024, and the LA Innocence Project is like, okay, all we have of it is the fact that it happened. That's it. Where's the rest? And why wasn't it investigated further? So the thing about it is that there's way more to it. And if it had been investigated further, then it would have potentially exonerated him right from the beginning if these people are responsible for it.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. That's why it's number 2 on the list. Now, the watch. I'm not sure the watch should be number 3. I'm a little bit iffy on the watch. Hey, John, how's it going? Yeah. The prosecutors being dirty, DG, I feel like they were just so single-minded. Like, I don't know. What do you think, Max?
I think they were, I'm looking for the word, they kind of disingenuous. I mean, ironically, if they felt, regardless in terms of intent, if they felt that they were absolutely right, then there's this mindset which kind of violates their oath to do whatever you can to get the conviction. And yeah, when we say very dirty, we mean, okay, that to me it's another thing where they say, oh, he's probably innocent, but let's screw him anyways, and let's let him take the fall for it. I don't think so. I think maybe you have people who just firmly believe that they have this really strong conviction. So in their mind, they're just thinking, okay, is it a gray area? Yeah, we'll just do it because at the end of the day, it's the results. We're right, and I think, but that's unethical. It's unprofessional, and I think it violates their oath and their duty.
Yeah,
and violates his rights.
Yeah, exactly. Like when you just assume someone is guilty and you go after them and you just completely disregard everything, that's really dirty. And like you just set someone up. Like with Zach, like when in the Zach case, Zachariah Anderson case, that was really dirty. Like they knew he didn't do it. I'm sure they knew he didn't do it because they just had nothing on him, nothing at all. Whereas with this guy, I feel like they thought he had a motive. They probably thought he probably did it. And they just didn't look anywhere else. And then when some other things came in that kind of looked like they could have been it, they just sort of ignored it. You know, like it just, I don't know if that's, I think there's a bit of dirtiness there. I don't know if it's quite as bad. I don't like it. I know I don't like it. I think it's incompetent more. I think it's incompetence. They should always chase up every single avenue. What I think is dirty is the media. I don't like the media's involvement in this. I feel like they just went to town with all of the juicy details on this, and they just hung a guy out to dry. And they do that.
But about the media, I was explaining before, the inputs that I had, being stationed in Tokyo and depending upon largely CNN, and not really getting there was none. If we look at the Rittenhouse case, we look at the Johnny Depp Amber Heard case, and we look at what was that? The police officer. She was convicted. Kim.
Kim Potter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think especially with Rittenhouse or even Johnny Depp, if we had depended upon we didn't have insights into live trial coverage, and we depended upon CNN and MSNBC and everyone else. I don't think you would have had this sort of essentially it was a shift in public opinion. You wouldn't have had that because they would be telling you that Rittenhouse, he crossed state lines and he had this automated killing weapon, and we would have, you wouldn't have had pundits of saying, this is a lot of bullshit.
I know, right?
Because they were reporting after each session in trial and telling you, but yet for the first time, people were going, wait a minute, that's not what I just saw live with commentary,
That's right. Hey, Val,
Peterson's
how's it going?
case, Hey, Val Holloway's. Hello.
Hey. It's true. Is that sometimes they help. Sometimes the narrative helps, but sometimes it's just they just get fixated on the sticky points, like the points that are salacious, and it's just like, oh well, there's a mistress, and the mistress, she's beautiful, and she has these stories to tell, and we're just going to focus on that, and that is obviously going to make him look guilty. So like people love that. People love hearing this stuff. So just let's keep going with that. And it's selling magazines, it's selling whatever.
A lot of people, good or bad, whatever, that men, women, they do cheat. But I just have to say, this assuming, what a time to be caught cheating,
Yeah, I know, right? Yes, I know. And that's the thing. It's like, how, if he didn't do this, how bad luck is this? Right? Yeah. Like,
because it's really hard to explain out of it. Sometimes you can't. I know this is an old case, more than 30 years old in Australia. I think it was in Western Australia. It's more a friend of a friend. And his father was a defense attorney in Australia, and his client was working in a slaughterhouse, and the people went for lunch break and came back early, and they found the client with his trousers around his ankles, standing on a 50-gallon drum can, and he was having certain relations with the carcass of a sheep on a meat hook. And the alleged line was, guys, it's not what it looks like. and I tried to look up, and I think because of it was a processing thing, I think what existing law was something to do with contamination of meat products or something like that.
Well,
but guys, it's not what it looks like. I don't think he had a lot of room there,
He's just marinating the meat.
Marinating the meat. Oh my God.
And give a little flavor.
And hello to the people on Twitter. If you're on Twitter, say hello, people on Twitter. And Valhalla, a month? Have you been a member for a month, really? That's nice of you. Hi. How's it going? It's nice to see you, man. I should have you back on stream. You haven't been on stream for a long time. Okay, yeah, Jennifer Crumley too. She was caught cheating. It doesn't look good. Like, and it's nothing to, and it has nothing to do with the case. That's the other thing. When it's got nothing to do with the case, but yet it gets brought up, and it's just like, oh, well, then they just look like they're a liar, and it's like, well, but it's got nothing to do with it. In this case, it has something to do with it because it's like it gives a motive. Yet we don't need a motive. Motive's not part of it, supposedly. Supposedly, but it does help. Okay. All right. So this Croton watch. Here's the thing about the Croton watch. She had this watch and it's like diamond encrusted and she was wearing it. She wore it every day apparently. And it's quite unusual watch. Like apparently not many people have. I've never even heard of a Croton watch. So she was wearing it and they put this reward out for it. So for specific information leading to the recovery of Lacey Peterson's missing Croton watch, and there it was. Okay, so the reason they put the reward out for it was because it was so unusual that they thought that if they found it, then that would be a good way of working out what happened to Lacey. All right, and so let's have a look at this Croton watch. So I won't read all of this, I'll just skim it. So this is on the Scott Peterson appeal page. The Croton watch.
Jesus.
What?
No, it's just like it's a rant.
Well, it's just the information about the Croton watch. That's
Okay.
all. So, whilst this post is not about the Medina burglary, it's chronologically the next egregious investigational oversight by the Modesto police while Lacey was missing. When Lacey went missing on December 24, 2002, Scott told detectives she was wearing a Croton watch that she inherited from her grandmother. So Scott and Lacey had listed the watch for sale on eBay. So detectives checked to see if the watch had been sold on eBay. It had not. Next, they checked pawn records for Scott and Lacey's name to see if they had pawned the watch. They had not.
Oh, pawn records. I'm sorry.
Are you for real?
No, I thought she said porn records. I'm sorry.
It's a watch.
Yeah, but you haven't seen Dali's search history.
Exactly.
I can.
That Australian accent really gets in the way sometimes.
No, yeah, that's what it is. It's the Australian accent.
Yeah.
Yep. Oh, Val, you heard it too. And Malcolm, right? None of the women heard it. Oh, you did not, old line.
It's easy. Watch porn.
Hey, I'm sure it
List
exists.
your hobbies. You know?
Don't believe you, old lion. On March 6th of 2003, Detective Grogan asked the porn records be searched again.
Yeah.
Stop it. Asked that the porn records be searched again. This time, he asked the word Croton be searched. One porn ticket was found. One Croton watch had been pawned in Modesto in the preceding months. And
It was pawned?
Pawned exactly 1 week after Lacey went missing. What are the chances no one in our family had ever heard of a Croton watch before Lacey went missing, and we hadn't heard of one since. So since finding out a Croton watch had been pawned a few miles from her house 1 week after she went missing would be huge, right?
Huge porn.
Huge. How hard would it be to contact the pawn shop?
How hard would it be?
Shut up. And see if they still had the watch. How hard would it be to contact the woman who pawned the watch and ask where she got it? Well, according to police records, they did nothing. They decided the description on the pawn ticket still did not match Lacey's watch because it made no mention of diamonds. 48,000 pages of discovery handed over to Scott's defense lawyers, and there was not one bit of police follow-up finding the pawn ticket. One pawn ticket was found. One Croton watch had been pawned in Modesto in the preceding months, and it was pawned exactly 1 week after Lacey went missing. What are the chances? No one in our family had ever heard of a Croton watch before Lacey went missing, and we heard of one since. So finding out a Croton watch had been pawned a few miles from her house 1 week after she went missing would be huge, right? How hard would it be to contact the pawn shop and see if they still had the watch? How hard would it be to contact the woman who pawned the watch and ask where she got it? Well, according to police records, they did nothing. They decided the description on the pawn ticket did not match Lacey's watch because it made no mention of diamonds. 48,000 pages of discovery handed over to Scott's defense lawyers, and there was not one bit of police follow-up after finding this pawn ticket. No follow-up, just like the Lacey sightings, just like the Medina burglary, just like the America's Most Wanted tip, and just like the Aponte tip. Lacey's Croton watch has never been recovered, and neither has the Croton watch that was pawned a week after her disappearance. We have no idea if it was Lacey's watch that was pawned that day. Our family is offering a reward for any information leading to the recovery of Lacey's watch. Right. None of you are focused on the watch, are you?
No, I wanted to check the Croton watch. So it originally was a, I don't know whether it was Swiss or American, but it was founded in 1878. So what they said was a lot of their trade was focused on diamond-studded watches, and they sold mostly in jewelry stores in the U.S. And currently, they still, I don't know if they're family-owned. Yeah, they're family-owned, and they operate out of New Jersey. So
right.
Because when I first looked up Croton watch, I saw a Japanese page, and it looked like it was a
Okay.
new brand from 1992, and I got confused. How could she get it from her grandmother, you know?
Oh, I see. I
But
see.
then I looked at the Croton watch company for the U.S. market, and I thought, oh, yeah, it's been around, and they do diamond-studded watches.
I see. It's a pretty watch. It looks like a pretty watch. Anyway, you would think that they would have taken the watch and pawned it.
Mm-hmm.
If they had it, they wouldn't just leave it on her. Anyway, that's the story of the pawn watch.
There was a in the previous I think in the Xavier Aponte report, there was mention of a fence. They make reference to a fence. His first name is Greg, and then it's later described, I think, Greg with 2 G's. I think it doesn't say the word fence, but I think basically he was the fence for the Medina burglary.
Right.
Just wondering if there was nothing in the linking him to possibly pawning the watch off.
Whether the Greg guy was.
Yeah, I mean, if he was the fence linked to the Medina burglary, and the Peterson defense team is trying to say, hey, this missing piece of the watch is part of discovery, that it would kind of make sense. Like
it would.
What if they're not sure how that watch or ended up on the pawn shop list, or they're not? This is the guy. I mean, why would you have a separate fence?
Greg walks in as the lusty pieces delivery guy. Right. All right. So the last thing we're going to look at today, and probably the most important thing, because this really is the kicker, is the van fire in the airport district. So, and we're just going to recap what this fella said, because I think it's really important. So, and from the list that comes from the document, the burnt orange van with a license plate number, that the mattress fabric sample and other mattress material samples collected from the above described burnt orange van, the glass vial used for presumptive testing of the mattress fabric sample, which tested presumptively positive for the presence of, as indicated in color photographs at Bates 3781, the towel found sticking out of the gas tank of the burned out van, the gas cap found lying on the ground near one of the tires at the back of the van, and the cement cinder blocks found inside the burned van. So remember this guy?
And then Modesto fire investigator Brian Spitulski. Spitulski, investigating this burned out van, found the morning after Lacey disappeared in December 2002, located less than a mile from the Peterson home. Lawyers from the Los Angeles Innocence Project now zeroing in on evidence from a mattress in the back of that van with a red and brown stain on it.
Red and brown
You
stain.
have this woman, she's 8 months pregnant, she's missing. This van is of high interest, and now a sample from a mattress on that van has tested presumptive positive for blood. What were you thinking in that moment?
You know, I don't know that I was tying the moment to Lacey. I was more tying the moment that it was human blood. It made it like this was much more important than just a burned vehicle that somebody was just wanting to get rid of or cover up a simple crime.
Yeah. So here's the thing, right? The people in the Scott Peterson is guilty group, they're all going, look, this blood has been tested and tested and tested over and over and over again. It's not Lacey's, right? Well, you know what? The problem is it was tested back then. It hasn't been tested with today's technology. So that's why the LA Innocence Project cares at all about this. And as Max rightly pointed out, they only take these things on, any of the Innocence Projects, not just, and people keep dissing the LA Innocence Project because they're not the Innocence Project, but they all have a very similar mantra, and that is that they only take on cases where there is new evidence, something that is concrete and potentially exculpatory, and most likely scientific.
Oh, I got the
Yes.
VIN number on the van. It's a 1989 Chevrolet G Series with a VIN number. It's really long.
Okay.
Okay. I was just curious.
There you go.
I mean, there's enough to find out about the van too, which was probably stolen, but
yeah.
I'm sure it was probably stolen. I don't think they probably paid full price for it and had it registered. But you know, you never know. This burglars back then, they could have been more honest than these days. Right. Anyway, I want to say thank you to our guests, MAXMURA. You have been fantastic, and we need to get out of this little view. Hang on. Silly me. Let's do it. Hey, this one. We need to go into this view. Thank you to our wonderful guest, MAXMURA. You have been awesomely fun. Thank you for being here and educational as always. Always very, always adding great things to the conversation, and just nice to see you. Haven't seen you in a long time.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it was good. Thanks
Yeah.
for having me. This was a lot of fun. I'm going to
Max the detective man. It's been fun. You should come on again sometime just for a fun stream. Any stream you want, just yell out whenever you feel like hanging out. Just yell out. You're always welcome. If you want a link, just say hey, and you are family. You can always count on us. And
There's your VIN number. I put it in your.
Max, what am I supposed to do with that?
I don't know. It's your VIN number. Actually, I think the O is a 0. I'm not sure.
Let me.
Yeah.
VIN 1GC EG 25 HOK 7176973.
The O might be a 0.
That's fantastic. Now, someone tell me what I'm supposed to do with that information, because I have no clue.
I was just trying to
data-
titillate your viewers.
They have databases and stuff like that. You can.
Oh.
Okay.
I mean, look, that's the van is a. It could be this one. I think it's. Oh, I can't post it anymore. Okay. Anyways, there you go.
I appreciate it. I just have no clue what to do with it. That's all.
You collect them and you save them, and they're like Pokemon cards.
I
The more you
see.
get,
Yeah.
This is
because
a Charmander.
because like you are someone who just has information ready. Like the thing about Max is that if you're thinking about something and you happen to be talking to Max, he'll just be like, and here is all this information, and you're like, that's incredible.
No, it's fun. It's funny with cars because we do so much with registration, and you could really screw with somebody. There's one person involved in a lawsuit, and I think he's a little bit crackpot. You probably know his name. But I found out he abandoned his 98 GMC Tacoma truck, which was,
Did you?
He abandoned it. He didn't have the financial resources to properly dispose of it. And so he let it go. And so all that information is out there. Yeah.
Does he have a blue costume by any chance?
No, not him. That was a different one. That was a 2016 white Mitsubishi SUV crossover parked in front of his house. But the truck was in state of Colorado.
Okay.
I think he's suing somebody in Minnesota or something.
Well, we certainly have had fun.
Okay, you just got
on this stream.
You could have fun. Yeah. Now you just got the invitation. That's a really sought after invitation. The building Lego with Max. So I've never gotten that invitation. So you're very special.
Me neither.
No.
I have Lego.
I did in the stream, but.
Wow, Max, look at you.
I don't build Lego. Somebody else does.
Oh, it's okay. The last person who got invited on didn't bring Lego too.
Oh yeah, Hales did not build Legos. He does with DY guy, but not David, because David isn't good enough for him.
Yeah, that's right.
I'm looking over to my right. I have a Lego Basic 1882 set too. That's for kids. That's for kids who are real slow, I think. Yeah.
Max would be an awesome Lego guest. Max would be a fantastic.
Sorry. When you make Lego, are you making it to spec, or are you just when we're kids, we just make whatever we want?
I know that's what I did too, and now they're like these weirdos that like buy sets and like follow instructions and like build these Legos. Like step 1, do this. Step 2, do that. And it's kind of
weird. If you're a kid, you get these sets, and then ultimately, unless you're a real nerd, they get mixed up. So you
buy a box of like 1,000 random Legos and build something.
But they're probably Lego purists, and they don't believe in misingenuation, because you get
Okay, I think if you were to come on the Lego stream, you should be allowed to free Lego it.
Yeah.
All right. I would like to see what you build free Lego.
Hey,
that would be cool.
Some of the people that go on there don't even build Legos, so as long as you have Legos, well, yeah.
Yeah. No, we're not going to do any of that online. That's enough. That's enough.
Sorry, you're right.
Enough of that. Enough of that. Is enough of that in chat? Enough of that should be in chat. So we need to be able to call enough of that.
But yeah, David loves to have like interesting people on. So
yeah, you'd be fantastic.
Legos are cool.
Yeah, Legos are cool, and yeah, he has people who are fun to chat to. So you're kind of fun to chat to, and you know lots of stuff.
Have you all stepped on a piece of Lego before? Because that is one of
fantastic
the
fun
top in terms of pain. Yeah,
that should be the death penalty.
Trust me.
So you can teach a lot about pain compliance, and you're going like, so did it kill you? No. Did it hurt? Yeah. Okay, so then you open the door to all these other things where you have pain, but you don't actually have actual injury. Yeah.
Yeah.
But that would really, if we do the free build, that would really up the level of, it would up the ante, because at the moment I think it's too easy. I think the creativity challenge that would really push it, Valhalla and David. Because I think it's too easy for you guys right now, especially David. David is pulling out just the easy stuff.
He's slutty.
He's slutty and easy, and he's just getting the really easy builds out at the moment, and he's just like done.
With Lego, can you give challenges? You say to Valhalla, I challenge you to make a 50-gallon drum can and a sheep. Oh, in your case, you have an extra allowance. It can be a goat, but sheep.
What would Max free build?
I think I just described it. Yeah,
he'd freebase something. Build.
It's a big tower. Oh my god.
It's a big erection.
Big erection. Well, there is that whole erection city in your country, isn't it?
What would you like to erect?
Would you like
so
to-
hentai. I don't know if that's a new category. Hentai Lego.
Oh,
somebody wants to make a.
what about
channel,
tentacle
like-
hentai Lego?
Yeah, I know hentai Lego.
Can you get them to like branch out with like
Hentai.
octopus arms?
Hentai, it's art. Hentai means pervert.
Adults only. Adults
Hentai
only
means
Lego.
pervert, but it's also a genre of art, I guess. But basically, hentai. If you've referred to somebody as hentai, then they're a deviant or a pervert. Yeah.
Wait, is hentai an insult in Japan?
Yeah, it would be. Yeah. What?
Really?
Oh.
I thought
Did
it
you
was just
realize? Did
standard.
you just realize you've been insulted? It's like arigato. Arigato. You're like Steven Seagal. Like every time he sees an Asian person, he does.
Oh, love you long time.
He sees a black dude. He goes, "What's up, bro?"
Oh God!
And then he's on TV recently, and he's going, Vladimir Putin.
You're shocking.
Putin.
You're shocking. David, are you trying to get a bunch of different channels going now? How many have you got now? David Helmslaw.
I think
he's
this
in here
is
in
his original.
That is original, isn't it? Yeah, but he's just started another channel this morning. This morning my time, this evening your time. Yeah, and he's streaming to different channels now. Okay, this has been fantastic. All right, and I think for sure you are next Lego guest, and I'm jealous because I didn't get invited.
You should get invited. But you have Lego too. Yeah, everyone has Lego.
Oh, I could work it out. Tomorrow, actually, sorry, I haven't put David on this. David is going to be at this. Tomorrow, 6:30 p.m. Eastern. The Nicholas Godejohn appeal has been denied. The court has said no to his appeal. So everyone, 6:30 p.m. Eastern. This woman here, this so-and-so, is out living her best life. Can't take that from me. Can't take that from me.
Oh, is she on Tinder? Is she?
She's back with her first
She's
prison
out.
hubby.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's already sacked her first hubby that she came out with, and
Well,
she's
third.
onto a
So-
whatever.
So guys, she's available. Just swipe right.
Actually, kind of. She's dating her other hubby that she had in jail the first time, and whatever. But she's getting a lot of D. Let's just say that.
Fire D.
Fire D. Oh, guys, Fire D, get your Fire Ds out because tomorrow we're having. This will probably be the last ever Gypsy Rose / Nick stream. Just letting you all know because
no.
I know. Because I'm kind of out of content. But the reason I'm doing it is because the people who came to the channel for this stuff, they're kind of all like very sad about the whole fact that his appeal has been rejected by the courts. And they're all like on their own groups and that going, what could be done about it? And I don't really think much can be done about it, but really want and I begged David, literally sent him a voice message and begged him to come on stream and talk about. I said, please, need a lawyer to come on and talk about the fact that his appeal was rejected. So we're going to do that. Yes, she dumped her husband, half Irish, and went with Ken, the previous almost husband from prison.
Not in the Dahmer way, but she divorced him.
Yeah, already 3 months. It's been less than 3 months, hasn't it? Since she's been out of prison? Yeah,
End
amazing.
of January.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah, beginning of January. Yeah, there you go. So is there any hope for Nick now? I don't really think so, but we'll break it to them gently, guys. Let's break it to them gently. All right, so there's that. And then 1 hour after that, we're going to get into the unseen exhibits, Hildebrandt and Frankie. So we're going to push more into the whole Mormon prepper crazy garbage. Don't worry, David. The other stream's not going to go very long because I have another one at 7:30.
That's the lady with a nice house. I like the doors on the house.
I thought the doors are good.
Doors are great.
Aren't they crazy?
It's very
the
beautiful
house is really cool. And the prepper room, like as in the big safe, like panic room, whatever it is, you seen it?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
The dungeon.
like
Yeah.
the
With a
dungeon.
kitchen,
That's
with a
nuts.
kitchenette and a toilet. I mean, that's
That
where you want to keep your guns, right, Dally? You know,
Yeah.
that thing's serious. That is a serious like end of the world room. That thing there. But they're nuts and they're nasty people. So yeah, that's tomorrow, 7:30 p.m. Eastern. So 2 streams tomorrow. I have to really get my shit together and get working on those. But yes, and yeah, David, I did give you some work to do. What's this? Speaking of the people who shan't be named, sometimes taking the middle ground is like being the middle of an Eiffel Tower. It just hurts, but it feels so good. John. Yeah, you had to pay for that. I would not have brought that up on screen.
But
thank you for the super chat. Thank you for the super chat. You're so naughty, John.
$5 is $5.
Goodness me.
Love you long time.
A long time.
Ouchie.
I like that
ouchie,
scene. Was it Full Metal
ouchie.
Jacket? Yeah.
Oh dear. Nasty, nasty, nasty. Okay, that's it. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, everybody. I will see you tomorrow, 6:30 p.m. Eastern, for Nick, and his appeal has been rejected, and for this one. And we're going to end the stream. Thank you so much. Thank you, MAXMURA, my lovely guest. Thank you to my co-host. Thank you, mods. Thank you, chat. Thank you, everybody. And time for me to say bye-bye. Free Zach, Ryan Anderson.